Welcome class to week 5. As promised, this week I promised that I'll create a lecture video as a, I wouldn't say a replacement, but more so as a strategy to try instead of the live session on Tuesday. What you'll do is you'll watch this video and hopefully apply what you learn in the video and also from the textbook and the other resources on the Moodle page, and apply that towards an assignment for the chapter. Okay, so the chapter this week is really an introduction, and really this lecture will be short, but it's going to cover how to go about creating and formatting and editing a Word document with a picture, right? And so what you'll do is create basically a flyer, okay? So we're actually moving into the second chapter of Word. And so I'll go a little bit more into details with that. But first, just a bit of a reminder and an update of what's to come for this week, okay? Just to make sure and remind you all so that you're aware of it. And as usual, if you have any questions, then you can just let me know via Teams, send me a message, okay? So this week's schedule, so Tuesday the 20th, right? You might be watching this on Tuesday the 20th or before, because it should be up tomorrow, which is Sunday, okay? So the 20th, remember, there's no live session on Teams, okay? Instead, what you'll do is you'll watch this video that will cover the content for the week, review the additional resources. There will be some, maybe some short videos and a link to the textbook. So you'll do that and then submit all the graded assignments on or before the due date and time. Now, I need you to be very much aware that with the structure of the course, there will be some things that are due on the end of the week, but I'm also incorporating, adding in some in the week assignments. Okay, so you have to be very much aware of what's due and when. Okay, so just make sure to pay attention to the Moodle page. Watch this entire video so that you are on top of it and you don't miss any deadlines. Okay, so that's on Tuesday. So Tuesday you're kind of doing your own kind of self-directed learning, right? Which is watching the video, reviewing, and then completing an assignment. And then on Thursday, which is the 22nd, remember the test 1 will be on creating or formatting a research paper in Word. So that would be available on Moodle as normal. So it would be available from 4 p.m. to 5:20 p.m., the entire length of the time that we usually meet. So it just as you would find graded assignments, where you click on it, you get the instruction, you download the file if necessary, you will find test 1. It will be labeled test 1 so you won't miss it. If you go to Moodle now, you will see a label that says test 1, but you can't see the test as yet because I'll activate it for that time between 4 and 5:20, okay? So how does it work? So you go into Moodle, you open it just as you will any assignment and you complete it. But you have the time frame 4 to 5:20. At 5:20, 5:21, that shuts off. You can't upload anything after that time, right? So I will be on the live session. I will join the live session. Like I explained last week, some students like to come on the live session when they're doing the test just to have me there if something pops up and they need to ask. And some people do not join the live session. I don't count it as being absent. They don't join, but if something pops up, people message me back and forth on Teams all the time as they're doing the test. But you're required to do that test between 4 and 5:20. That's the only time it's available, okay? So please keep that in mind. And just a last few reminders that I am absolutely, I know is important for me to make sure and say, and that you understand a few things. Extra time will not be given if you are late. If you show up at 5:30 for the join, or not show up, but if you open the test at 4:30, the clock is already running, you will literally have from 4:30 to 5:20, because at 5:21 that it shuts off and you can't access it. So extra time, if you are late, no extra time will be given. Unexplained absences, if you just don't show up and you miss the test, then it would automatically be a 0, obviously, right? And also, again, that goes to say, if you are sick, just remind us, especially for tests. If there's a test or the final exam, any major assessment, if you are sick, you will be required to submit a doctor's note to student services, okay? So that being said, however, like I always say, communicate with me if something comes up, right? But we need to ensure that, especially for the major tests, that people are not just forgetting and not showing up and being able to do it. You know, that only makes sense because other students are putting in the effort to be there. So try your best, make sure you are there. And finally, ensure you have access to the correct technology to take the test. Make sure that if you are at work, for example, and you usually complete the assignments, or you sit at your desk and you go along, you just make sure that you can access Microsoft Word and the version of Word that you need to have. I said this before, if you're using a Mac, make sure it's the compatible version so that the end result is as it should be. And for the tests, one other reminder I would say, the in-class assignment that you have, there is the solution is now added to Moodle right under where that in-class assignment, which was lab 1. The solution is for lab 1 is there, and the solution for the lab 2 will be up. So what you can do is look at the one that you did, compare it to the solution to make sure that it is correct, right? Make sure it's correct, because even though there are labs that submitted the time frame, you won't, I won't have enough time to go in and look at them individually and give feedback. But that's what the solution is for, because it gives you the completed version. So that being said, that's about all the reminders or updates for this week. Okay, so just remember, Tuesday, no live session. That's why you're watching this video, because this is a replacement of the live session. Thursday from 4 to 5:20 is the test 1. Okay, all right, so let's move right along. So because with test 1, everything is covered, right? It's just for you to practice the labs. So there's no new content about writing research papers. So I feel that you should be able to prepare on your time now before Thursday, but we can still move into looking at this other chapter, and you get to do lots of lab on this also. Okay, so this chapter is creating now a flyer with Microsoft Word, and I'm sure you're aware that today, anyone who's creating a flyer now might not choose to use Microsoft Word, right? You might not choose to use Word. There are loads of other software and apps that are free, and websites that you can go in and really create dynamic flyers. But the rationale behind having this chapter in a course like this is that it gives you more practice in Word. That's all it is. If you need to create a flyer for your job, or if you have a business or something personal, anything like that, you more than likely would choose something maybe like Canva that's online, that has lots of dynamic features in graphics. That's one software that's very popular, where people would do things like flyer. But the reason why, again, covering it in a Microsoft Word is because see it as a way to gain more skills in using Microsoft Word. And if maybe you're at a job where you need to create a flyer and they don't have access to any other software, or you can get onto Canva, you'll know how to do it in Microsoft Word. So although Word is not a big kind of graphic editing software, there are features enough that you can create great content with graphics. Okay, so just saying, what's the purpose of a flyer? But you can use a flyer for many different things, right? Of course, you're aware it's a single page document. For businesses, it's an inexpensive way of reaching community or potential customers, right? And it's just a way to gain public attention for the most part. So, for example, in this chapter, the flyer we will create is for a business, right? And it's kind of advertising services and trying to get new customers, okay? So, oftentimes, students always ask, are flyers still relevant today, right? Are they still relevant today? And to be honest, the answer is yes. There are still flyers around no matter where you go, no matter, yeah, whether Caribbean, in the UK, in the US, people are still using flyers. And so they are still relevant. It's one of the, I would say, one of the things that, say, digital technology didn't fully, in some cases, right, didn't fully replace that option of printing flyers, right? A lot of people do flyers online and can distribute them online, and businesses can distribute their flyers out on social media and all of that. But it's very saturated, right? There's still some novelty in capturing audiences of people who might be walking in the park and see a flyer. Not everyone is on social media, not everyone uses digital technology. So flyers are still relevant today because it's inexpensive to print, put it up, and you can really use it as a combination with online, say, digital flyers. Okay, so a lot of companies still, where I'm sure that you all would still see flyers home up on notice boards, up on trees. People still use flyers. Okay, so it is a relevant option. So just to say, we will be creating this flyer, this one right here that says Surfs Up. This is the flyer that we will be creating for this chapter. Okay, so that's the flyer right there. And it's the main objectives for this chapter is you will learn to do, let's say these are the things that you will learn to do over the period that we cover for this chapter. So you learn how to enter text into a new document, you'll format the flyer, you learn how to insert a picture, which is this particular picture here, which is a surfer. That's the name of that's the title for the picture, surfer. You'll format it. You notice there's lots of formatting, like the border, there's background color, there's underline, bullet points. So you'll do some formatting. You'll enhance the page and add spacing, enhance it by adding borders in different colors and making sure the margins work right. Correct errors, of course, and revise text. Other things, again, it says import digital picture. We will import that and we'll format the picture also. I have that twice. We'll add the border, we'll adjust the spacing and correct the errors, right? So a few things, right? When you're considering designing a flyer, and these best practices are things that you need to consider because for the for the project, which in the next few weeks I'll introduce the project for this course. One of the things you're going to have to do is design a flyer. And one of the things that you'll be graded on is ensuring that you use some of these best practices, right? You don't just slap together images and write in any type of font, right? There are guidelines that you should follow. And these are things that you need to consider when you are designing your own flyer for the project. So a few things, make it simple and readable. That goes without saying. No need to have a whole bunch of small writing. It needs to be simple and readable so that potential customer, for example, can easily read it. The writing is not too complex, so they have to go find a dictionary to figure out what it means. So it needs to be simple and it needs to be readable, meaning your font can't be too small. It has to be a font that can be read within a certain distance if someone is just passing, okay? So you need to also consider your target audience and focus on benefits. So if you are, for example, doing a flyer where you plan to open a gym, for example, or you have a special going on at the gym, right? You have to consider your target audience. What would people who, if you want to attract new members to the gym, you know, write, you need to structure the flyer right. The content that you write need to be focused on those people, right? So you wouldn't write, you try to attract new customers, so you wouldn't write stuff that would benefit people who are already going to the gym, right? You have like it's a special. The first 2 months are free if you sign up. If you sign up, you'll get a free water bottle from the gym, something like that. So you consider who you're trying to attract with the flyer and focus on the benefits. Again, what would they get in return, right? So if you sign up, you get a free bottle, you get a free month's membership. So again, use simple and high quality images. Like I said, Microsoft Word, there are lots of images that you can have access to, because not only do they have built-in images in their database, you can access Microsoft online and pull images out. Because for the project, images and everything should be pulled from Microsoft Word, okay, for the most part. So use simple, high quality images. Have a clear call to action. And what this means, the call to action, if you go back to this slide, let me just go back to 6. If it would let me go back to 6, no, it won't let me go back to 6. But I'll show you again on the next slide. On the next slide, if you remember the flyer that we're going to create, the call to action is basically the last line where it says, if you're interested, please call this number. If you're interested, send us an email. So the call to action is giving the audience some type of instruction so that they can reach out to you. Okay, so if it's a gym and you open a new gym, saying sign up within the next 2 months and you can come to the gym or give us a call and we'll get the process started. That's the call to action, right? Ensuring that the audience have a way, giving them something that they can do to reach out to you to so that you can get them on board. Okay, so the last one is use brand guidelines and tools, and that's basically if it's a business and you have for example colors, specific colors, that's your brand, then you just incorporate those in the flyer so that it just keeps consistency with your brand. And if you have your logo, that's one of the tools you can put on. So these are just some best practices, okay, just for you to consider when designing for your when designing for the project. For something like the test for this chapter, these practices will also come on board, but there'll be more instructions on what you'll need to add, like a logo. Or, you give more instructions, but for the project, you kind of get a more open opportunity to design as you like. Okay, so this, like I said, is a flyer. This is a flyer that you will be creating, and just a few things to kind of incorporate the guidelines. And there's a reason behind why it's designed this way, okay? And that's the thing, you don't just design just while, you have to have reasoning for different things. So for example, in this case, this flyer is a colorful, eye-catching flyer, which, right, it's announcing surf lessons, okay? So the picture of the surfer, so you see there's a picture of the surfer right there. What the reason for using that picture? Because it entices people who are passing by to stop and look at the flyer. Because number one is the picture is big on the page, and people passing by might be like, wow, what's this about? So it kind of captures the attention of people passing by, right? So the headline on the flyer, which is this bit right here, surf up, if you notice the headline is large and it's colorful, again, to draw attention to the text. So it's not a small, tiny headline where, the moment someone passes flyer and they see the image and surfs up, they know immediately something about surfing. So your headline need to be large and done in a way to capture the attention also of people who are passing, right? So the body now, the body of the text right here, which is below the picture, this briefly describes what is included in the lesson, because the flyer is actually advertising surfing lessons, right? So it's a bulleted list, concisely highlighting important information. So it's not a bunch of ramble on writing. It's just being very concise. Private or group lessons. You're gonna get reef shoes and surfboard rental included. You're also gonna get a photo and video packages are available. Okay. And if you notice in the first line, learn to surf to improve your form and skills on the wave through expert instruction from our award-winning surf school. Now, there's a reason why the word expert is in a different color. It's italicized and it's in a different color. And that color also matches with the signature line to the bottom. Okay, so these are in different colors. And basically that the reason why is these are done that way to so that they can stand out from the rest of the text on the flyer. Reason why it's done that way, because it draws your attention in to two things: the word expert and the call to action. And the reason for that is that when you create a flyer like this, the audience immediately is reading about surf lessons. Well, if I'm reading about surf lessons and there are 5 different flyers up about surf lessons and I'm trying to figure out which one, and this flyer is the only one who highlights that an expert is expert instruction. They have an expert who's going to be teaching me. I'm going to be like, okay, that is the one I want to learn from. So the word expert is like a keyword in there that really kind of supports that this is a surf school and you're going to get excellent quality service, because it's an expert. So you can use keywords like that to kind of help draw in your audience again and kind of give them confident, make them feel confident that the service that they are paying for will be worth it. Okay, so that's why they highlight the word expert and put it in a different color. And of course, like I said, the call to action, that's the key, because without a call to action, the person would read that flyer and be like, oh, okay, someone is doing, or this business has surf lessons, and move on, right? They might be like, I wonder if I should, how to contact them. But if you have a call to action to sign up for a lesson, call 555-surf, then they have all the information they can get. And in a situation like this, they would probably take a picture of this flyer and have that information that they can use. And just the last thing is just the use of the border, right? The graphical border, just to kind of enhance it, the flyer a bit more, just to enhance it a bit more and complement the flyer, right? Just again to draw more attention. So that's the flyer we're going to be creating, and that's the rationale behind the design. Okay, so you keep that in mind, use the guidelines and have a reason behind the design. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to create this flyer. I'm going to walk you through how to create a flyer like this. And all of these instructions are in the textbook. I'm going to condense it, but you'll get an opportunity to create this flyer. Use your textbook. If you're comfortable and you remember, because I'm going to kind of condense it, the steps into a quicker version than in the book. And if that works for you, then that's fine. But you can also cover it in the book step by step, okay? So again, this is the flyer. That's what we're going to create, the entire thing. Okay, so now we're going to create the flyer that we just looked at. And before I start with the video on how to create the flyer, I just want to say that there are 2 things that I do at the beginning to kind of set it up, which is turn on. You see me turning on the show hide button, which, if you recall from the last chapter, that's basically just to show the formatting marks, right? So every time you press enter or space, there's a specific mark that shows up on the page, just as kind of a guidance to help you to see, for example, how many times you press enter for something. And these are non-printing marks, okay? So you can turn it on and off, but it's used as a guide. So that's, you see me select the show hide button, and then I'll also maximize the size of the page or the view of the page. Because what you'll notice is that as we're creating things like flyers or any type of document with graphics, it's oftentimes you have to maximize or minimize the page so you could see something closer, see the full page to see how it displays. So that would be the first two things you'll see me doing once I start the video displaying the process of creating the flyer. Once that's done, I will start to enter all the text, right? So I'll enter all the written text for the flyer, and then I'll go back in and format that text, okay? And so I'll just go ahead and hit play now on the video, and I'll talk you through it as it's happening, okay? And again, as usual, you can always pause and go back. Like I said, it's a condensed version, the step-by-step, each individual step. You can also get that from the textbook, okay? So you see here, I'm turning on the show hide, and I'm going to view, and I'm going to page width, and it increases the size of the page, okay? So you can see everything now more clearly on the page. And I'm just typing in the all the content, just everything for the flyers typed in. After surfs up, I hit enter once, and then I hit enter again. And if you notice right here, there's a space, and that extra space is just where I will add the image, right? The surfer image. So I just left that space available for now. And again, I'm just typing. What you'll notice, a few things you'll notice here is that word wrap, right? As you're typing, I'm sure you're familiar with that in Word. Instead of having to hit enter for every sentence, if it's a continuous paragraph, you just keep typing and it just wraps it around to the other line, as opposed to these sentences, right? These are going to be bullet points. So after each one of these is an enter. I hit enter, so it goes to the next line because they are just specific bullet points. And so now I'm just typing up the call to action line, and that would be all the written content for the flyer. Okay, so I'm now minimizing the page just to get a better view of it as I go now in to start formatting things like surfs up. I'm going to format just about all of the written text. So I'll start with surfs up, right? So with surfs up, we're going to stay on the home page, on the home tab. And you'll see me change the size of the font, right? Because remember, we need to have it big on the screen. I'll change the size of it. I'll change the type of font. It's not going to be Calibri, so it's going to change the size, the type of font. We're also going to add a text effect to it, and we're going to center it. Okay, so probably the first thing I'll do is center surfs up, and then add all of those changes. And I'm also going to center the tagline to the bottom. Okay, so here we go. So surfs up, I highlight it, center it. These are all very basic things. And then I go to the call to action line, select it, center it, and then I go back to surfs up. If you notice here, one quick thing to notice is that you can also, instead of just dragging your mouse to highlight a word, you can double click in the corner right here, and it would highlight the sentence. Okay. Again, there are several different ways to do many of these things, and I'm sure you'll use the one that you're more familiar with. But the textbook and I might have a different way of doing it, but as long as the end result is the same, right, then it's fine. So at this point, I have, changing the size of the font. It's at 72, and the type of font is Rockwell Extra Bold. And I also change it to all caps. so it really stands out. And the next thing I'm going to do is add some text effect. You notice I'm clicking right here. There's a button right here. It's a blue button with the word, with the letter A on the text. And if you click on that, that opens up a menu of different options, of just different style options that you can use for words. So we're going to add a text effect on the word surfs up. So as I click on it, you see it would open up the menu. Because I'm recording, it starts showing all the options. But normally when you open up, see, I'm clicking through the menu. It's not showing you, but when you click on it, you'll see the menu. And I'm just choosing the one that I want, which is this one. And I'm now changing the font size of the body to 24. And I'm going to change the font size of the call to action. And that is going to be changed to 28. But all of the font except surf up has remained Calibri. So surf up is Rockwell Extra Bold because that's the big headline. All of the rest of the content is Calibri. The body is Calibri 24, and the line to the bottom, the call to action, is 28, just so that could pop a bit, okay? So the reason why I said it's also important to look at your textbook, because, for example, as I'm recording this and I click on the text design options, the text effect options, it is, the recording is not capturing all the different options, right? But if you look in the book and you practice it yourself, you see all the different action. And in the book, if you're creating it exactly like I am in the book, it would tell you which option, which specific colors to use, okay? So I'll just go back in and keep formatting. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the bullet points to these 3 lines. Again, you highlight, you go to bullets, very simple, straightforward bullet points are added. I'm going to bold the word award-winning, just to highlight that this school is an award-winning school. And like I said before, export is going to be italicized, just to highlight that. And the phone number is going to be underlined. Again, these are all strategies to highlight key information, okay? I'm going to go back in, change the color of export, and just go to font color, click on it. And the book is going to tell you the specific color, but I'm going to use this reddish color that matches the surfs up. I'm going to use the same color for the tagline, okay? And I'm going to use some background. I'm going to use, for surfs up, the final thing I'm going to do here with that is I'm going to add like a background color to it, okay? So you'll notice that I'm going to go right up here to paragraph, and there's an option to add like a background fill to it, and it would change the color of the background. Okay, so I'm going to choose that same reddish orange color that matches the other highlighted words. Now I'm just making my screen smaller so that you can see it in its entirety, just to see how it looks together. And the next step, which I'm going to pause just to explain. The next step, if you remember, the flyer, the end flyer, is not going to be this orange color, right? It's actually going to be a blue color in the background. So this is where the use of themes come in, okay? So Microsoft Office, right, whether it's Word, PowerPoint, what they did is they built in a set of colors that work well together, right? Now, this flyer, instead of going and clicking on, say, export and the signature line and surfs up and individually put in those colors, you can use something like the themes that are built in, and you just click it one time and it would just change the color of these particular things that are highlighted, right? And themes are just basically a set of colors that work well together, okay? So when you're creating, you don't have to try to figure out if red and yellow would look good together on a flyer, right? You can use themes because they have shades of red that work well with shades of blue, So it's already built in, so you can use it as a tool. So you'll see me changing the color scheme of the flyer using the themes option, okay? And it would be this button right here up to the top on the right hand side under the design tab. It's on the design and it's this button right here. So you see me going in and changing that. So I go and click on colors and it brings up a whole list. You'll have to practice, you'll have to do it yourself to see all the different options. But this list is called blue, okay? And so this theme is blue, and as you can see, it changed all the highlighted bits like export surf up and the key or to the bottom to the same blue, okay? And again, it's blue because it represents surfing, right? So the next step here is that I'm going to now insert, I'm now going to insert my image because the content is already there. We have already edited all of the written text that we're going to edit. Now it's just to insert our image. And for this exercise, remember on last week, we looked at how to access your data files. This is when you start to use your data files because the image of the surfer is going to be taken from your data files. So the next step you're going to see me doing is inserting that image. And where I'm pulling it from is from my computer, and it's going to be from the data files that are saved there. So you would have to do the same thing, okay? So I'm going to go to insert here, and I'm going to go to pictures, and then I'm going to insert the surfer image. Two ways now you can add it to the center. What I did is I already made the insertion point. I've already centered that just by clicking on the insertion point and hitting center. You can insert the image and then center it, but just as long as the image is centered, it is fine, okay? So, and again, because you can't see, as I'm recording the screen, you can't see the background. All I did was go to insert and image and from the computer. And from there, I was able to find the image from the data files, okay? So that it just shows like it popped in automatically, but in the background, that's what happened. So I'm just gonna make that image a little smaller, and you can use the fill handles on the side here to shrink your images and make them smaller, or if you have a specific size you need to make the image, you can go right here because on the picture format, okay? And let me just say, when your picture format is not one of the tabs that are normally at the top of the page. There are a few tabs that pops up based on what you're doing in Word, okay? And picture format is one of them. Because we inserted a picture, automatically this tab pops up, which are other features of editing and working with images, okay? So because the picture is highlighted, picture format pops up. If you click off of the picture, this disappears, okay? So like I was saying, two ways to resize your picture. You can resize it using the fill handles that are along the side, or if you have a specific size you need it to be, you can go right here to size and enter the height and the width, okay? So, but for this, I'm just showing here that you can enter it there, but for me, I just use the fill handles and kind of change it. Now I'm going to change the style of the picture. It's currently a square, but I'm going to go to picture styles and I'm going to choose the circle look. There are lots of different options. You can just click around on them and you'll see, but I'm using this oval look, and I'm going to continue formatting the picture. I'm going to go to picture effects. I'm going to add a highlight around it. Go back to picture effects, and I'm going to add a bevel look to it. That's just another effect just to make the picture stand out a bit. And I'm shrinking my screen so I can see it in its full context to see how it looks if I need to edit anything. And the next step is that we're going to add a page border. So you go again to the design tab, right? You go to the design tab right here, and you go to page border, which is on the right hand side. It says page background, and it's page border. So we're going to add the green lines around the flyer. So, and for that little bit right there with adding the border, there are very specific options to get this one. And you can, when you look in the book, it will tell you exactly which border style to choose, the size of it, and all of that. You can't see me doing it here because I recorded it. I recorded the page as I'm doing it, okay? Okay, so the border is there. The only thing now left to do, everything is basically finished for the flyer, right? The only thing we need to just make sure and do is add the spacing. Make sure the spacing is good, right? That it's not all jammed up to the top or all to the bottom. We want to make sure the spacing is correct, which just helps with reading it, right? With reading the actual content of it, the spacing, it helps people to read, right? To follow the information on the flyer. So the first thing we're going to do is the top strip that says surfs up. We're going to add some, just a little bit of space before that. And then on the tagline, we're going to add some space after it, just to kind of space it out a bit. So let's go. So surfs up, you click on surfs up and you go to the layout tab and you're going to add some space before. So I'm adding 12 points, just clicking on 12. Same for the call to action. I'm adding 12 points after. And then the final bit of formatting is I'm going to make sure that all the content is fully in the middle of the page, right? The entire thing is fully in the middle of the page. So as you can see, I'm still on layout and I'm going to go to page setup. And when I click on that, you won't see the options that are going to pop up, but you're going to go to page setup and you're going to center it vertically. And it won't look much different, but it's just a little bit to just make sure it's fully centered within the entire page. Okay. So that is done. It's just shifted down. The final bit, of course, is make sure there are no spelling errors, right? You make sure that the spelling, there are no red squiggly lines. Everything looks good. You probably just want to kind of make it bigger to have a look at it, make sure everything looks correct. You go back to the home page and, you can remove, like I'm showing here, spelling, do your spell check, remove the show and hide button, and so it looks like that. Okay, so that would be the end of the flyer, right? And like I said, this is a quick version of it. Basically all of this is in the textbook, but in the textbook you get to see a little bit more of all the finer points and steps to it. Okay, so now that that's done, let's just move on a bit. So now that you have seen me creating the flyer, what you need to do now, this is your assignment. Using what you learn, whatever I cover, talking about the guidelines, showing a bit about how to create it, how to create the flyer, and the value of making sure you follow specific guidelines. What you need to do now, right, is use the textbook, use this video, use what you learned from this, and you're going to create this flyer. You're also going to create this exact flyer, okay? So like I said, step by step. If you want to go step by step by the book to get all the finer details, you might, because you need to know the specific colors, right? You might need to know the specific font, the size of the border. You use your textbook and you go in step by step and you create that flyer, okay? So you're going to create the self-sub flyer and you're going to upload that to Moodle, okay? And now this flyer is due on Tuesday. So we have the live session on Tuesday. It's not going to be live, right? But we have that time slot. So this is going to be due. I'm going to have it probably due at the end of the evening on Tuesday, right? Maybe 11:59, like I normally do. So Just saying, if you're looking at this video today and it is Sunday or it's Monday, you can go ahead and do it and upload a flyer, and that's it. You don't have to. You could use your free time on Tuesday to practice for test one. Okay, but just be aware this particular assignment is due on Tuesday evening. Okay, upload it to Moodle. All right. Yes, and that's basically it for this video. I hope you find it helpful. I hope that you know, you are able to follow along, and you can let me know if this format, or if you like to have more sessions where I pre-record the lecture, right? And just let me know if it's a helpful thing to kind of pre-record, and you get to work on some, you know, assignment on your own time. It's another strategy that I can certainly use. And yeah, so just let me know. So I hope you have a great week. I will see you on Thursday in the live session if you join, or if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. And I'll be on the live session on Thursday. Remember, on Tuesday, we're going to try this format of you watching this video and doing the assignment and uploading it. And yeah, if anything, feel free to send me a message. Okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.